All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Rev and Trades channel. Hope you guys are staying safe out there as always. We are in a new month of October, just turned over to the new month, so I wanted to take a look at the daily, the weekly, and the monthly time frame using the Rev and ribbons and the new oscillator, the momentum oscillator, and then take a look at a couple strategies, and then I got to jump on a tour bus. But okay, so I'm working on some updates for the Rev and ribbons as well as the release of this momentum oscillator. We're going to first look at the momentum oscillator. It was crossed to the downside here. I posted it on Discord just a couple days ago that we had a cross to the upside. So to look for at least an end or a pause to the immediate downside, and we got actually a pretty incredible bounce off of that. So the incredible thing about this oscillator is it gives you a bunch of data points, and I probably will include a few other tables that are optional. You can choose to turn on or off. But yeah, so here currently we have kind of an expected move based on the power of the cross and where the cross occurred, a bunch of historical data that is happening inside the indicator. So this cross to the upside, it says price can move as high as 132K. At least that's what it's looking for. Now that's a pretty freaking big move. I want to actually really fast look at the percentage move. I guess it says over here 15.9%. So a pretty big move. But if you look at some of the other data here, based on the percentiles, that is in the average kind of move. So it's just above the average move. It's saying, the average move here, if you take all the moves to the upside when the indicator crossed, it doesn't necessarily matter where it crossed, to the upside, the average would be about 15%. Now, on the 10th percentile, which just means the bottom 10%, it's just a 1% move, and it lasts for one bar. So you can see back here, if I find it, right here, this one turned to the upside, crossed to the upside for one bar, had a super small move to the upside, and then crossed to the downside again. So that would have been technically a failed move to the upside. So that's in the lower percentile there. But even the bottom 25 percentile is a 2.4% move. It'll be interesting to see what we have since it turned up, which was right here. So it's not that long ago. We've had just about a 2% move. So still less of a move currently than even the bottom 25%. So if you take 75% of the moves are going to be higher than 2%. If you look at not the average, but the 50 percentile, which just means the lower 50% of moves at 6.2, and then you get up to 17% on the top 25% of moves. And if you just look at the top 10% of moves, you're looking at 37%. So that's a pretty massive move. I don't know if I'd be expecting 37% off of this one cross to the upside. Now, it doesn't mean Bitcoin couldn't go up 37% before the end of the bull run here, but it does mean that we probably won't see that necessarily on this current move to the upside of the oscillator. But currently pretty low volatility and data points on this move to the upside. You can see here in the past, a lot of times moves will get into the more extreme zones here. On the last move from cross to the upside, we got a good, I guess it was only 5 or 6% move before it got a little bit more extreme. So and then I'm actually interested to look at back here on even some more extreme moves. If we look over here to the upside, this would probably be a better one to look at. From the cross to the upside to the extremes was a 15% move. So again, these I'll explain in other videos, but these extremes are based off of several different data points, and it's not necessarily just where the move will end or just volatility. It has more to do with how long the move has been happening for. So if you're getting towards the end of the bars, if the oscillator is separated from the signal line, all of these things kind of show the top. And to be fair, this kind of did call the top of this move, or real close to it. It went a tiny bit higher before some downside. So I'll be watching for that in this move, for this indicator to turn red, and we'll let you guys know when that happens. But as of now, the daily is to the upside, and even our bands are showing some nice upside action. It is interesting. We saw a bounce off of the lower band. So the lower band doesn't get hit very often, and I guess it was just above the lower band, but that did that is showing a little bit of weakness, that it would get all the way down there. For the past moves, it's really been the dotted midline there. It's been basing off of. Now maybe that can, if since it had a little bit lower to go, maybe that can be a good foundation. But I also look at that as a sign of possible weakness. And if we see it come, especially back below, I'd say back below the midline even, and close below the midline, probably looks for some more downside. But especially if it closes below the support band here, the support 1 band at 109K, probably could look all the way down to the low 100s. So watching out for that. On the other side, to the upside, we could see as high as, and we did just get an update here for our target zone. We could see as high as about 118K if we were to reach some of these, average moves here. So 118K would not be out of the question, and that would be another about 3% from here. So if we're kind of looking at the 50th percentile, that would be in line with that too. So again, we're looking at a daily time frame, so this can ebb and flow. The thing about the weekly and the monthly, I'm actually very interested to look at here, because we do still have a cross to the downside in the weekly, and it will take it to closing above 117K for it to go to the upside. So if we hit that upper target on the daily, we might see this momentum turn to the upside. But for now, we do see that there is definitely some some promise of some downside. I wouldn't say promise, maybe probability of some downside on the weekly time frame. I'm going to look at here how far we've gone since the cross down. Cross down happened about here, and currently we've seen at the higher end of the move about a 7.5, about an 8%. We can say 8% move. And according to our chart here, 8% move is still not even in the 50th percentile, which means that it would be pretty. Maybe it's in the 30th percentile or so. I just am kind of guesstimating here, but it's a pretty minor move for the weekly crossing down. Now, it doesn't mean that it can't cross up from here, but it does mean, expect a little bit more, like a 15 to 21% move on average. And so if we look at that, that would be 15% would be about 99K. So 100K would not be out of the question to 21%, which would be about 92K. So again, and that also is kind of here our on the weekly time frame, our dotted midline. So would not be surprised at all. You could see in the past it based off here. If it does bounce from here and can close even a weekly crossing the momentum of the upside, I'll probably change my tune a little bit and be a lot more bullish. But as of now, I am a little bit, I guess, optimistically bearish in the sense of I think we'll have some more downside, but I'm optimistic after that we'll have upside. And you can see here it's actually really struggling to get above the midline here. So that is probably would be my target for. If we can close the weekly above the midline, I would look for a bit more upside before downside. And if we keep rejecting off of that midline, you can see we closed below it and basically got pretty close to the support band. If we continue to close below this midline, I'm still looking forward to some downside. So that's where we are in the weekly. The monthly, I think, is also across to the downside. If I remember from last time, though it's not a strong cross, which means you can see here it's kind of fumbled a few times on the monthly time frame. Let me kind of get the ribbons here. The ribbons are not giving us a whole lot on the monthly time frame. Again, if I really zoom out, the monthly time frame is there's just really not a whole lot of data here for the ribbons to look at. It did reject off of the dotted midline for the month, so I guess if we can close, get above that, we might push a little bit higher to what would this be, 131K. So that's our target from the daily time frame as well for the extremes. So that could be interesting. We'll see if we get up there. But yeah, on the monthly, it still is crossed to the downside. Now this is a lot more extreme target. You can see the price move target here. Again, it's kind of looking at past historical data and the monthly time frame, and what extreme moves could be. Downside could go as low as about 80K, and 8 bars would be 8 months. So we have quite a while. So if there's a correction down to 80K in the next 8 months, would not necessarily be surprised. However, that would, I guess, drastically change all things. So actually, I might change my tune on that a little bit. I might be a little bit surprised, I suppose, if we, in 8 months, we're down to 80K. But according to the oscillator here, not necessarily. I guess the oscillator would not be surprised. Which, again, I don't know how much I trust this oscillator on a monthly time frame, so I'm kind of going back and forth here a bit. But yeah, again, a monthly time frame is probably not a great one to be looking at for the oscillator. Weekly is much more, I think, reasonable. So maybe take all that monthly with a grain of salt for sure. I guess we can look at a 10-day and see what that might be a little bit higher time frame that would give us a little more info. But yeah, monthly I think only had how many crosses to the downside? Only a few crosses to the downside. So let me see. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've only had 6 crosses to the downside on the monthly. So it's working off of very, very little data. But yeah. All right, I think that's everything for the ribbons and the oscillator. We can look at some more as I start to get ready to release this, but feel free to pause or rewind the video if you want to look at any more of these data points here. They'll be in the video. I want to look at a couple of the strategies real fast, and then we'll call it for the day. But this is a new indicator that I've been working on. The lifetime members have had this indicator for a little while, as I've been in kind of beta testing with it, and I told them that it was still in testing, but it seems like it's been working pretty well. It's on the hourly time frame, and it's quite a bit different. So it's what I'm calling the max plus. So we have the 1 hour max, and this is the 1 hour max plus. It's just built on a little bit different data. And it is holding up pretty well. So we're seeing some pretty big pullbacks on some different time frames, including the 1 hour. We'll look at those. But the Max Plus is holding up a little bit better. It is a bit newer indicator, but did catch a nice win here, and a small loss here recently. Other than that, hasn't done a whole lot. I guess it did get a pretty big loss here. What would this probably be, 3 or 4%? Yeah, about 3.5% loss there. Had a win over here. After seems like it probably held that one for quite a long time. It had a small win here. It could have been a much bigger win, but still pulled a small win out of that. And yeah, other than that, not a whole lot going on the 1 hour time frame for the Max Plus. But if you are a lifetime member, this is in. You have access to this, and there are some strategies there for you. If you do not have the lifetime, no worries. This will be coming at some point here in the near future. I do want to see a little bit more data with that. So, all right, I'm just gonna close out of that window. Other than that, okay, I guess we already looked at the weekly time frame. This is another look at the weekly time frame on a little bit different settings for the ribbons. This is calling for upside to 126K, so that is kind of interesting here on this weekly time frame. It has managed to stay above the midline. Again, these settings are quite a bit different, but another take on things. This is a monthly. We don't need to look at that right now. Okay, let's look at a couple other strategies that have been maybe underperforming or not doing as well, just because I want to be transparent and actually look at the real data. So this is the 30-minute strategy for Bitcoin. I'm trying to remember, what did I name this one? This is the number 3, so version 3. You can see it's really kind of struggled over the last little bit here, and it hasn't even taken a trade for this whole entire upside move recently, which is a bit of a bummer. It did have a win back here, couple wins, but a few wins in a row actually, but it did have some pretty outsized losses over the last few months, and has been kind of grinding sideways and down for quite a while, since does it say February? I guess our highs were really, though, in June, so more so June. February's were actually more the lows. I was going to see where the lows are at. So we are making higher lows since February, so that is the good news, is we're not making lower lows on the strategy itself. But we are also making lower highs currently. So if this turns around and makes another lower high and then a lower low, this strategy may start being invalidated. But as of now, it's holding in there. I'm going to look at a couple other ones real fast here. Okay, so this is another version. So this one's actually been holding up a lot better. The high was in August, so quite a bit later. Did see some downside since August, but has been recovering pretty well and is currently in a winning trade right now. That is, a good bit up right now, so that's not bad. I want to look actually at Solana, both 10-minute and 30-minute, because Solana has been surprising and had quite a comeback. This is the 10-minute time frame. You can see here it's actually done really well compared to even buy and hold. It's beating buy and hold, and not nearly had the losses or the downside that buy and hold has had, and had a lot of wins here recently. So Solana 10-minute strategy has been doing pretty well. I've not been trading this, but I kind of wish I was. The 30-minute strategy has been one that I thought has been kind of not relevant anymore. I kind of assumed it's been not relevant because it's been, since December, it's only been down. And the buy and hold has been majorly down since then, but has recovered a lot, whereas this strategy has not really recovered that much. So this is the Solana 30-minute. Not doing super great. You can see the year is down 10%, so, a little bit painful on the year. I stopped trading this one quite a while ago when I started to see it decline. And so for users that have been trading this, who knows? It may recover, but Solana's been looking a bit more weak in general on the long term, though recently has a bit of strength. So anyway, those are just a few strategies. So if you guys are members of the Discord, you have access to all those strategies, and you can easily pick up the Revan ribbons on the Patreon, and the oscillator will be included if you purchase those. So again, the price for this indicator is about to go up. So if you want to grab it at a lower price, feel free to grab that. Got all of these things jumping up on my screen. Anyway, all right, so that's it for today. Hope you guys stay safe as always, and I will see you guys in the next video.